Hi, everybody. Thanks, David, and welcome this wonderful and large crowd to the Yocto Project Summit 2023.11 incarnation of my live coding ramblings. Let me share one window just to chant you in. Okay, I take it that you can see my slides now. So I already told you what we're about to do and who I am. My name is Josef Holzmayr. My main duty, I would say, is head of developer relations at Mender, which is an OTA solution for all kinds of stuff, primarily embedded Linux devices. But I also do serve as the community manager for the Octo project, which is my main duty here today, as well as I do run social media for Open Embedded. So whenever you see something on the platform that shall not be named, or Instagram, which is crazy, or LinkedIn, then it's coming from me usually, and it is meant for your enjoyment. Today, we are trying to do a couple of things. I will talk to you a little bit about practices that have worked well for me in real projects and products, which is a project layer, how to handle base layers, how to work around stuff that is just like not fitting your specific needs, a short dive into dependencies, and because it's the first snow here, the weather is gray, it's cold and everything, and the Christmas is ahead of us, I'm gonna have glue wine. For everybody to get into the mood, I also have brought that one electric. Can you see it? It's an electric candle. Gonna put it here so we can all enjoy the spirit of the times. Cheers, everybody. And with that, let's find us a terminal.
So, Josef, your
Yes.
microphone's a little bit close, so you can back the microphone off just a little bit.
Actually, there is not a lot of microphone processing going on. It's just like this headset. Is it okay-ish, or should I switch to some other source ad hoc? I can try that.
That's okay.
Okay, you tell me. Okay, so here's the chat. I'm gonna try to look into it, but I guess mostly it will be mostly people still getting their build host up. I'm overdriving because distortion and overdrive is metal. That is required. It's a part of the performance. I'm just gonna pretend. Okay, let me find the terminal. I guess I can make it a little bit bigger, or is it okay-ish? Can you read what I'm typing?
I can see it.
It's okay. People say it's okay. So in this case, I have a build prepared, which is a really run-of-the-mill Pocky. I have built core image base for a QEMU ARM 64. Just for the sake of completeness, I'm going to show you that it's around, it boots, it's on latest NAND build. So far, completely unspectacular. One or two people say that there's no terminal, but just the slides. I guess that it is a client-side problem then, because if more than one person responds that the terminal is there, then it sounds like your client is not, Zoom client is not properly refreshing. Sorry about that. But I'm gonna repeat myself to keep my brain time to think a lot of times anyway. So if you drop out for a couple of seconds, I'm sure you don't miss anything. Okay, so I just mentioned project and base layers. I'm gonna start out with a really trivial project layer, and the classic way to create a layer in BitBake, as we probably all know, is BitBake create layer and giving it a funky name. I totally didn't have a proper idea, so I'm gonna call this meta project blue because I like blue wine. And this is, let's say, a freestanding layer. By now, it is just created, and this way I add it into the build. So now, whenever I want to, or whenever I build something, this layer is taken into consideration too. What do I want to put into a project layer? What do I call a project layer? A project layer is something or is a layer that holds the information that is specific to the device, to the project, to whatever you at hand you want to build. In this case, I'm just gonna declare that the image file is probably very project specific. So let's go over to that layer, meta project blue. There is recipes example, which is just dropped in every time by BitBake layers create. Let's get rid of it. Let's make a new one, recipes blue, recipes blue, and images canonically live in the images directory inside inside a recipes folder. Let's copy over. Yeah, I also hate Zoom. I completely agree, but we're working on it. Big promise, big pinky promise. Let's find a very canonical image. Meta recipes core. I built initially for core base, core image base. Let's copy this over and modify it a little bit. What sounds like sensible for a Glühwein image? Let's remove the splash. I don't like splash. And image install append BC. I usually install BC because everybody needs a proper calculator, right? Okay. Here we go. BitBake. No, I forgot to rename it. Now I've basically just created a second core image base recipe. Probably it will. Good question, what will happen? I think my layer has a higher priority than the other one. So let's just see what happens. I told you I will make a fool of myself, as usual. So time BitBake core image base. I'd expect mine to be picked up, but I'm not sure. Try and find out what happens. No metal names this time because I was too lazy / too late to look up another metal element with starting with the letter Y. You can see that meta project glue is mentioned here, so that already works. Fun fact, because here is unknown, that tells me essentially that my layer is not yet under supervision control, which I probably should fix in a real project, but this is not a real project. This is me doing live coding. So no metal time names this time because I didn't look it up. The Glühwein story I literally just invented when I typed BitBake layers create. I had no idea what it would be named 2 minutes ago. Sorry. I think I already have a layer that's called Ytterbium. and I don't like to repeat myself. So let's find out which core image base was picked up. If mine was picked up, then BC is now in the image. If it was not picked up, then so BC, it's here. Very cool. Anyways, to be clear about what we're doing, we're going to rename that one and call it glue wine, image glue wine. Glue wine, BB. So we can build image glue wine by now. And Randy helpfully dropped an explanation about glue wine into the chat. The really fun fact about glue wine is that that glue is not only the same as the English word glow, like the aura or the light. It also means embers. So the embers in your campfire, they are also like called glow or glue in German, which means this is basically like wine that's meant to heat you from the inside, which is perfect for this time of the year. Okay, so we have image glue wine, and if it boots up correctly, then we have finished our project layer for today, because like I said, it should just reflect a piece of information that is not shared with other parts of your bigger Yocto project infrastructure. Trung asks about the commands to create the new image. I just copied it over. If I manage to remember it, then I will just drop the histories. No, it's two different terminals. Good question. These instructions are not prepared. I'm really making them up as I go along. I will try to drop the histories and put them into pre-talks. For the rest, I guess you should refer to the videos once they're chopped up. Sorry, this is just like this kind of show works. Okay, image glue wine exists. Now, a real product or a real project hardly ever consists of just the things that are relevant for only this thing. When you're developing something, it originally feels like everything relates just to that. But if you think a bit more about it, then you will find out that a lot of stuff, a lot of metadata that you're creating is actually to be shared across your different projects. Maybe because it's BSPs, maybe because it's some kind of middleware that you want to reuse. And I'm going to call that a based layers or based technologies. And technically, you should. No, I'm not gonna show you this fancy calculator, Randy. Sorry. You can read man pages. You are old and wise enough to know what a man page is. And yeah, side note, this is an interactive section in this event. So I am trying to monitor the Zoom chat. I try also harder to monitor IRC, and I basically take questions all of the time. This means that I will babble more and type even less, which is very welcome. So while you are encouraged to listen, you can also throw in anything like, and I'll try to handle it. No promise that I'll do a good job on it, but I'll try. Okay, so we were at base layers, and technically you should properly separate things that are not related to each other or that are orthogonal. A classic example here is bits and pieces of your middleware and distribution. The distribution defines the ABI that your operating system, that your Yocto build exposes, whereas the middleware just packages some software. Those do not necessarily go into one layer. If you think about the BSP should be very much orthogonal to a distro. So you can create all of those layers next to each other. And that is the classic approach. You have a vast selection of layers, like 5 or 10 or whatever, and it gets a little bit hard to coordinate those because you end up with a lot of Git hashes and stuff to clone. And my proposal for this is to use a combined hierarchy layer, which holds those in one repository. This approach has been used by a number of instances that I know already. Example, Meta Open Embedded as the greater space of Open Embedded uses it. Meta ARM uses it. Meta TI uses it. So Meta Mender also uses it. So I think this is an approach that is not necessarily academically perfect, but has worked in reality, and that's why I'm going to show it. So we're heading over. We're going to leave Meta Project Blue, and we're going to create a directory. Remember, it's only a directory that we're going to call Meta Gluemarked. I'm just gonna run with a stupid joke. You can't get out. So why do I call it meta, even if it is not a layer yet? Just again, it's the canonical name for such. I could use any whatever name. It's just the canonical approach to handling metadata in the Yocto Open Embedded world is to name the containing entity meta whatever. This will contain a number of layers, so I call it meta. Meta something. I'm not going to call it meta company because that is probably copyright infringement. I'm going to call it meta Gluemarked because Gluemarked is the place where they sell glue wine. Okay. Time to create another layer. Paul, for 10 seconds while I have a sip, should we go for middleware or for a distribution layer first? Up to you. Okay, I count three middlewares and 3 distros. Okay, somebody's is playing a joke on me, right? Randy wants a machine learning layer. I disagree, because that would be a fully connected layer, and my layers are not connected; they are separated. So last one that typed something is Dave Nugent, and he said middleware. I'm gonna run with middleware because Dave Nugent reminds me of Ted Nugent, and Ted Nugent makes cool music. This is a completely made up reason. Okay, bitbake layers. Create layer, and now I need to point it into Meta Gluemarked and call it Meta Glueware. Again, completely made up. Meta Glueware, and added. What could be some super stupid example to for middleware? I really don't know. So there is the recipes example again. So I'm just gonna stick with example. That's just as fine as anything else. So let's look at it for a second. The example recipe just basically says, okay, example recipe is being built. It does not add anything to the build as is. We can. Oh, I think we're fast enough. Let me find something that we can install. Let's just say do compile is what is a good thing to do during compile. I go glue to like I said, I'm gonna mess this up. No, data dir. I think we should use data dir. Glue, and we need to install data dir glue first. Cut oranges are actually a good idea. Wine and oranges. Okay. I usually get that part wrong. That's why I have to look it up now. Compile. Okay. I can in 1 second, Kjell. So inherit all arch because we expect to be able to glue on all kinds of architectures. And so we need to configure exec 1 to compile no exec typo equals 1. And yes, I think Simon is right. Oh, me mistyping. Okay. The statements with no exec mean that do configure and do compile do not make sense in this kind of recipe. All arch and do compile, do configure, no exec usually go hand in hand because something that is working on all kinds of architectures usually doesn't need a configure or usually does not need a compile stage, and do configure in this case is just like to speed things up. I don't need to do a configuration here because I know that my glue consists of wine and oranges. And yes, again, Percival is right. This is a typo. Install. Okay, I definitely need to rename this glue wine. No. we have a proper version. So, okay. And the example to blue wine. Okay, I think it's called a Thinko. Randy is always like my backseat driver who keeps me going when I'm doing live coding at YPS. Thanks so much, man. Okay, next thing we need to we have it in the build already, right? So now we need to add it to the image. Fun fact, technically I could now write image install append whatever into local.conf. I just hate writing image install into local.conf. That's why I created the image earlier. Trung, yes, I will show the recipe in 1 second again, because there's a couple of other things I want to modify. Now I'm just gonna adjust the image first. Meta project blue. Recipes, image blue wine, and install blue wine. Okay, if I did not get it wrong, which is very likely, I can build it now. And so again, this is the recipe. We're gonna make a joke here, a recipe for blue wine. Recipe created by the YPS crowd. License, is it MIT? How do we think about our ways of drinking? MIT is fine, I guess. Okay, so we definitely, yep, that's actually what I expected. So we obviously got almost everything right. We have created a layer. No, Konrad, disagreed. So we have created a recipe. We are installing something that we just declare is a form of software. And we now need to tell BitBake to actually package it up. And in this case, it is files like this. En plus equals this I always get wrong because I don't need it that often. I think it's no Dean files. See, I have a lovely crowd. It's always so nice if you talk about random stuff and people in the audience can correct you. Awesome. Cheers to that. I should have probably added for the sake of clarity, I probably should technically add glue here, but it really doesn't matter that much. Orail or Orele, or I don't know your native language. Sorry, says that you're better than Copilot or ChatGPT. Not sure about that yet. Okay. I once asked ChatGPT to write a song in the style of Ozzy Osbourne about the color pink because I like pink, and it was good. You know what it gave me felt like Ozzy could really sing and feel it. I'm not sure that you are up to it. I mean, I feel some metal spirit in you, but I'm not sure that you are really up to the Ozziness levels of pink. Okay, we have finished the build. And if we got our middleware right, then we now have a very simple recipe for Glühwein in cat user share glue close. Okay, that was close. I'm gonna declare that this worked. Yes, I know that ChatGPT and Copilot are very convincing, but still they are just mostly wrong. Just as me. Okay, now we have created a software layer. Now we want to create a distribution layer. And the distribution layer, the way I do it, is called a meta. Who distributes Glühwein? Call it Bude, because Bude means like hut, shack, the place where they sell you the Glühwein. I define that this is a form of distribution. Okay, so now create layer. Add layer. And now we're going to build something that is defining a distribution. Whenever you modify things in distribution, it usually means a really long rebuild. I'm going to try and avoid that. Not sure if it works, but I'll do my best. And how do I want to do this? Bude. So a distribution goes into conf distro and then Bude conf. Again, configuration is global, recipes are local. Whatever I do here applies to the whole build as opposed to whatever I do in a recipe. And we're just gonna define that this is conf distro hockey conf. So now we switch to Bude instead of hockey. Oh, and again, clean out the example layer. We really don't need it here. Okay, next build. Let's see what happens. No. One day I need to prepare Jeopardy music. This is what we want. Hopefully it now tells you that the layers are all in there. Yeah, that's okay. Glühbude has no real. So Glühbude is here. And for the sake of completeness, I will now define distro version is yeah, it's okay. So we will soon have our own distribution. Hopefully. Okay, distro version. Let's gonna be crazy. Let's also change this distro name just because we can. And the last thing that I usually put into a distro, so come on, distro is Glühbude. And I will show you in a second why this is not harmful in this context. Init manager equals systemd. I just told you that a new distro usually means a full rebuild, but I'm confident that it will work in this case because I already have it set in local.conf. So I'm going to remove it here. And finally, bitbake, image glühwein. And while this runs off and hopefully makes it through, what have we achieved so far? We have created a layer that holds our project. We have created a layer that defines our distribution, primarily a name and selecting systemd. And we have packaged a really small piece of software. By doing all of this properly, we managed to not have to carry any form of addition to local.conf anymore. We could just add all the layers and then type on without ever touching local.conf. We could type distro equals Glühbude, machine equals whatever we use. So we wouldn't even have to touch it. And bitbake image glühwein and be good. This is how I envision metadata to be managed for projects that need to be maintained for longer than 10 minutes. Because the information is in the layers and the layers are properly organized so you can maintain them over a long time. One side effect of a combined hierarchy layer, as I call it, is that you can see the Git history for all of the contained layers when you look at the main directory. This can be good, this can be bad. As I said, I personally think that it's a good approach for a layer that holds core technology like a distribution or middleware. And again, the project is out of it because it should not mess with that. If it does not match your expectations, feel free to find another approach. Same goes for helper scripts, helper metadata, helpers for your CI, whatever. If they are relevant only for the project, like the final CAS file that I usually use, it goes into the project layer. If it is bits and pieces that just serve as building blocks, which is a middleware thing to me, put it into the combined hierarchy. Okay, this actually built. And yeah, because I booted everything so far, let's boot this too. Now, the next thing, just for the sake of completeness, yeah, it's still there. So for the sake of completeness of those two layers, a project layer usually depends on the base layers, and that is the next thing that we should express. So that I will. Let's go back into wine conf, and let's have a look at layer.conf now. So technically, we just depend on core. If you're looking at Pocky, then this is what is in the Pocky/meta directory by default. But we just said we envision our project to use both the middleware from MetaGlueMarked. So we need to express this, and we add meta and meta, how did I call it? MetaGlueWare. No, GlueWine is the project layer. So, oh, am I in the wrong layer now? Probably. Where am I now? Sorry. No, Conrad, that's just like my life situation as a whole. Yes, I am in the wrong layer. The meta GlueWine. So meta project glue. That's where we need to go. So now it's correct. We need to express meta glue bude and meta glueware. One too many. Perfect. So without booting this time, just making sure it builds again. And then we're gonna move one out of BBlayers.conf and hopefully see that our project refuses to build. This sounds like stupid by now because we know about all of our layers, but trust me, your users will just grab the project layer and then it fails somewhere in the build because the dependency cannot be found. And if you have expressed your layer dependencies correctly, then it will immediately fall over without even kicking off and say, hey, this layer is missing. And I think that's a good approach. Okay, this works. Then conf BB layers. Just to test it. There's a confusing multiline. That is probably accurate, but not the error message I want to see. Okay. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Layer project layer meta project glue depends on meta glueware, so it is not there. I think this is a much better error message than something depends on something, but there is no provider for it. That's just me. Okay, let's get that stuff working again. And let's talk about the next thing. The next thing I envision to look at is we have 50 minutes left. Should we be additive or subtractive? We can either add crazy stuff with with dynamic layers, or we can remove stuff with BBMASK. We remove stuff. Conrad says remove stuff. 2 for BBMASK. Okay, it's the usual 50-50. Okay, I love interactive sessions. Okay, I'm gonna count down from 3, and the last or the post that appears when I'm reaching 1 will decide. 3, 2, 1, add. Okay, we will add stuff for no good reason. Let's do it like that. We are in Meta project Glue. And let's just say, again, for absolutely no reason, that if meta networking is also on the stack, then we have an even better glue wine recipe. I think that sounds like fun. Let's see if we can make it work. So canonically, stuff that you want to add lives in a dynamic layers subdirectory of your layer. This means two things. You have to set up the directory hierarchy, and you have to declare it as such. So dynamic layers, go in there and make dear networking. So networking, and here we again create make dear recipes glue, and we create one thing that is called glue wine, whatever version, BB append. And it says to install. This is probably wrong. Can somebody please throw me the syntax for a to install something append into the chat? Thanks. So we're gonna say, and what now? Conrad gets a cinnamon. Echo cinnamon into the data dir blue. I'm not sure that this will work, Henry, but I'm willing to give it a try. And if it works, then we all have learned something, including me. So if I'm not completely mistaken, then this should add cinnamon to the recipe of glue wine that we are installing in recipes to glue. If the networking layer is there. And how do we express that? By going into the layer configuration of, it is an echo arrow, but I'll double check in a second, Conrad. Thanks. So, and again, I'm gonna cheat now. This is the layer configuration of Meta Project Glue, and I have to express this by bb files equals underscore dynamic plus equals wrong syntax, close it right at the start. Meta. I need to look at the networking layer. Let's just drop in networking for now. Come on, don't play tricks on me. Yep. King. And then it adds layer dir dynamic layers networking star one more star.bb yank, come on, yank p, remove that. So What does this mean? We have to check if the layer collection in question is actually called networking. We'll do that in a second. But it essentially means if the layer collection that is called networking is in the build, then everything that matches this regular expression is added to the build again. We are in the meta project glue layer. It's called dynamic layers networking, and there we add all BBs and BB appends. Okay. Let's find out if it is really called meta open embedded meta networking conf layer.conf. So it's networking layer. Okay. So if I build GlueWine now, nothing will happen because the layer is not there. So bitfake layers add layer meta open embedded meta networking. And I'm gonna be bitbake GlueWine a little bit shorter now. And I promised Conrad to check on the recipe. Ah, typo. You get me every time, right? Come on. No. Isn't it you who thinks GlueWine should consist exclusively of cinnamon? Just trying? Okay. One more. Let's see if it worked. Temp work all Pocky Linux GlueWine package user share glue wine and oranges. So obviously I went wrong somewhere. Take layers show appends. Wop. So too bad, no GlueWine here. No cinnamon, please. Come on. So where did we go wrong? Conf layers conf dynamic layers slash networking. That should actually be good. Networking layer is also around. Good question. I definitely expect this to recipes glue. I forgot one. Layer. So you remember star slash whatever. And here we go. Go. GlueWine, BB append. Gonna build GlueWine. Wine and oranges and cinnamon. Okay, last poll. Questions and stupid discussions for 5 minutes or try to BBMASK? Okay, BBMASK. Everybody says BBMASK. So with all the glue wine involved, I declare that we should not do any maths. So we're going to remove BC. BC. Yep, David, I got it. So conf, let me just see where BC is. I think BC is in meta recipes extended. Else, hockey meta recipes extended. Bloop, here is BC. Okay, so let's say that if you have glue wine, you are not allowed to use a calculator anymore. In reality, this usually means that the recipe is broken and will not build with whatever you do in your layer. But so because we are doing glue wine in our layer, we the calculator is broken. And we express it like this. BBMASK is meta recipes extended BC. I think that should essentially do the trick. And if we try to build our image now, then it should actually fail because the BC dependency chain cannot be fulfilled anymore. 3 minutes left. I didn't even finish my cup because of all the talking. I love it if a build does what I expect it to do. So the final thing that we will do right now is adjust recipes glue image this to not require a calculator anymore. We can build. Okay, removing BC probably was a stupid idea. Granted. You get the idea. Let's blacklist. We could blacklist whatever we want, but for the sake of this, there's other stuff that cannot be built without a calculator underneath. So I think this is the first part in the presentation where I've actually made a real fool of myself, trying to remove something, and then the stuff does not really not work anymore. But hey, that's how life is. I will now hop over to my outro slide for just 2 more minutes. Thanks everybody for joining me on this ride through how I handle layers. I already told you I'm working for Mender. We do over-the-air update stuff, device lifecycle management, all kinds of things that you really should care about if you put fleets out into the real life. And we love to hear from you. Get in touch, talk to me, talk to us on all of those channels. Thank you.